Response video to Fred regarding kind of an irritating video. I really didn't like the title much, or the story that went with it, or well, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Response to Gary about population control. Just thinking about this voucher scheme system that you mentioned there, Gary. I haven't seen your back videos on this one, so you've probably talked about it in more detail. But yeah, I mean, the problem I have with the voucher scheme is the same problem I have with the other things I mentioned in terms of financial incentives. Is that my fear would be that vouchers would become a form of currency. Yes, you get a voucher to replace you in this world, so notionally every couple has 2 vouchers, therefore can bring 2 kids. If you don't want to have kids, you can give your voucher to someone else. But as I say, it would become currency, and as soon as it becomes current...
Yeah, well, whatever. So what? I mean, that doesn't even bother me. But it's solvable. If you don't want it to be currency, then you can just say, well, the voucher then has to go through some approved charities. So you can give your voucher to an approved charity, and those approved charities will decide what couples get the voucher. So you can create buffers against this fear that they'll just be up for sale. And, you could even have it so that your picture is on your voucher. And so then the little kid who's going to be created because of you donating your voucher, you'll be tied to it and it'll be tied to you in some kind of indirect way. And so then maybe you'll be more, you'll want more input into how the voucher is used. And maybe you won't let the rich people have it or some kind of crap like that.
See, then I think it becomes part of the system that I'd really not like to get its dirty hands on reproduction, really. I think
well, look, why don't we just get rid of the fucking rich, and then we don't have to fucking worry about this crap anymore. But, I mean, there's so many ways to discourage the rich from having kids. I mean, they're easy to get to. The poor, the problem is you can't harm poor people because the harm will end up hurting their kids. Well, the rich have lots of fucking money, so we can tax the fucking shit out of them if they have a 3rd kid or a 4th kid. Or I would just double their fucking capital gains tax. That'll discourage the fuck out of them. I'm sorry to get pissed off, but this is just nitpicking and naysaying again. There's no point in offering any suggestions because this is so easy to do. This simplistic, well, I worry about this and I worry about that and I blah, 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 blah. I mean, it just is totally unproductive. If you have a better solution, fine, but I haven't heard it. And I'm not saying this is the best solution. I'm just saying let's encourage proposing stuff, not discourage. And all this, you're not telling me this is not discouraging? I'm going to limp Biscuit on top of your fucking goddamn vouchers?
Fine. Obviously, if it becomes currency, then only the rich can have more than 2 children. So 4 children becomes a symbol of esteem and prestige. You become Duncan Bannatyne and all those people.
Oh, come on. I mean, really, you really think that's a huge threat, that the rich are going to say, oh, yeah, I have nothing better to do with my perfect, wonderful life than to get me some little snotty-nosed rat bastard things to clutter my life with? No, I think that's a very few, tiny percentage of the rich that want to waste their rich time, playing with fucking kids.
We insist on having more children.
Fucking YouTube. Son of a bitch. You can't even do a goddamn video. I don't know why YouTube has just sucked lately. I mean, I can't play a fucking video without doing this shit. It shows it's already been buffered. It's in the goddamn thing, so why ain't you fucking playing? And what the fuck is the problem? No, I don't want to watch it in HD. Give it to me in 240p, please. Give it to me in something that plays.
Yes, it would be fine, if it was the case that the best people get rich, but the fact is they don't. If it was the case that richness was a result of moral virtue, of character, or of a willingness to contribute to the world in positive ways, a willingness to not be ruthless, a willingness to be compassionate, a willingness to be self-deprecating and helpless, any of those kind of things.
Well, any of this shit doesn't really matter because I don't think any of it, poor, rich, any of this stuff has much of a genetic factor. I mean, none of it has anything to do with whether people drop dead of a heart attack at 41 genetically. So what the fuck? I mean, none of this is really all that fucking important. I really don't care genetically who's breeding because it's not by any fucking real standard anyway, and certainly rich and poor is no good as a standard.
So that'd be fine, but of course it isn't, unfortunately. And I'm not saying all rich people are horrible. I'm not saying that money is necessarily evil. But the fact is, a lot of rich people got rich because they exploited other people, or because they...
Yeah, and a lot of poor people got poor because their parents were motherfucking cunt, irresponsible, dumb asses, okay, who couldn't even figure out that they should have enough fucking money to raise their goddamn kids right instead of raising like motherfucking pig animals. So, I mean, that works both ways, too. I mean, the rich are scum, but the fucking poor are scum also. Dumb, motherfucking, irresponsible, jackass, drug-using, alcoholic, motherfucking pig scum, all right, who have goddamn kids without thinking one fucking second about the implications of the fucking life they're creating. So if we're going to sit there and rag on the rich, let's give the fucking poor their fucking due, because they're a fucking goddamn blight on this fucking goddamn planet also.
Exploit natural resources, or they engage in very ruthless business practices, or they invest their money in companies and industries which in turn go on to exploit people. So, yeah, I would hate to...
Yeah, and who are they exploiting? They're exploiting the spawn of the dumbass poor who don't have the fucking resources to take care of the kids they're producing. I mean, you have to look at both sides of that equation. There's no slavery if you don't create the fucking slaves.
A proper system like that anymore by linking it to reproductive rights, which I think the voucher scheme, if you weren't really careful, would do. Just on the
Well, I guess everything has to be a little bit really careful.
Actually, I think there are some good things about it, because a voucher, I mean, it makes it sound like a dinner ticket, actually. When I was at school, I used to get dinner tickets. If you're a low-income family, you got free school meals and that kid, and these little green tickets. So you go up to the counter, this is what I've got in mind, this little green dinner ticket. But, yeah, I think if the voucher was given more kind of symbolic value, I know that psychology isn't your thing, and probably things like symbolic value mean nothing to you, but I think it would be important. You know, we can rely on science and philosophy to generate policies, but I think implementation would require a lot of psychology.
Yeah, well, maybe we just talk past the psychology and just explain the psychology to the assholes and say, you know what, all this gold leaf and other kind of deedles and bullshit and all the fancy fonts on your little diploma, well, guess what? That's pretty fucking irrelevant. The only part that matters is your fucking diploma, right? Well, the same thing's true with this vouchery thing, okay? We can make it all pretty and gold and make it all fancy and make it mean something to you, but guess what? It really doesn't mean anything. It just means that there's too many fucking people on this planet and none of these people are smart enough to figure out that they can't fucking overpopulate, and so we have to create a fucking system to sit there and regulate their fucking behavior because they're too fucking stupid to do it on their fucking own.
And getting people to buy into the idea of vouchers for reproductive rights would require a lot of psychology. And one of those bits of psychology might be to give these vouchers some kind of symbolic value. So,
well, what is this shit anyway? Reproductive rights. Again, why should this be a fucking right? Why should it be a fucking goddamn right? I mean, if you're going to say reproductive rights, then why don't we just say homicidal rights, okay? If we're going to just go with nature, because in nature I have the right to commit homicide any fucking time I want to. So where's my fucking homicidal rights? I'd like to just kill all these fucking assholes who think they can fucking abuse kids and raise them in shit.
For example, it might be imprinted with your genome, I'm thinking. Because that is, I mean, symbolic, but it's also kind of real. Only you have got your genome.
Again, why don't we just skip the psychology? We explain to people that they have an ego, and it really is a pile of crap, and, you know, they're special, but they're not that special. It's Snowflake in the old, you know, snowdrift thing. You know, come on. Let's go a little ahead here. Let's just skip some of this psychobabble.
Yes. And I don't just mean for financial incentives, because they, as I say, those financial incentives are often, even though they're meant to be positive, are often felt as kind of punitive. So it feels like a tax on children, or it feels like a privilege that only the wealthy can afford, those kind of things.
Well, why don't we just make it a privilege that you feel like you earned, okay? And yeah, you should. You should have to feel like you deserve the privilege to have kids. All right? Not some sort of innate right. Some sort of privilege that you've earned because you've demonstrated that you have the character and the sense of responsibility to do it fucking right.
But there might be other kinds of incentives. For example, you might lower the immigration regulations for couples with small numbers of children. That might work.
Well, yeah, I don't know how that would work exactly unless they came to this country already sterilized or something. I mean, when it's, you know, but whatever. Immigration's a whole nother messy pile of crap.
But, I don't know exactly how that works. Or some kind of sponsorship system. And you can sponsor a newlywed couple to guarantee their security in the future if they don't have children. Because children are often kind of built in as a substitute for social security, aren't they, in old age?
Well, I think I addressed that, so yeah, okay. What's the difference? I mean, whether you get less because you have kids or you get more because you don't, I mean, aren't those the same proposals? I mean, okay, so you're going to word it differently?
Some kind of sponsoring system, that might work. What else? Yeah, we have other things you could do. You could certainly replace conventional reproduction with reproductive technology. That'd be interesting. You can't many takers for that idea, but if all reproduction was by test tube, that'd be a very different game, wouldn't it, really? Very controllable.
All right, now I know at this part you're just kind of talking whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know how constructive that is either. So whatever. Okay, so let's just talk about all kinds of wacky ideas. You know, well, yeah, we could build like a big giant rabbit, and then everybody who successfully climbs the giant rabbit can have kids. You know, and that would create a little bit of, a little bit of a contest. People could really get into it, be fun, and the reward would be that you're still physically fit enough to have a kid because you can climb the giant rabbit.
And also this thing about this isn't directly related to anything you said, I think, but the kind of accidental nature of childbirth. it seems absurd to me that here in the 21st century, most jobs...
Well, yes, see, the reason why, I mean, it's absurd, but I mean, the reason why it happens is because there isn't a penalty for having kids. We financially reward you. We give you benefits. We cut your taxes. We give you, free money. So yeah, if people are actually afraid of the responsibility and realized that they had to actually take responsibility, then yeah, maybe it wouldn't happen so accidentally anymore. So anyway, I'll move ahead a little. I mean, the accident doesn't really happen unless you let it happen.
Do some thinking about it, I would say. So I'll try and sell the Catholics on that God wants us to plan our childbirth because it's the wise and divine exercising of free will.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, the idea they're going to rewrite Catholic doctrine to find a loophole in the be fruitful and multiply edict, good luck with that. I think it's just better if we just punch the Catholics in the fucking face and say, get the fuck out of the way, asshole. Because nothing else is going to work. They don't give a fuck about rationality and reason. They're going to listen to whatever their stupid pip says. I mean, it's just, that's the way we're fucked. So yeah, let's just buy guns. Fuck it, let's just buy guns. Shoot people. Fuck it.
Well, so abortion clinics, if you will, would be places of worship, almost. Places of sacraments. Sacramental abortions. Yeah, I can go along with that. Sacramental contraception. Following God's will. So yeah, you could have to do that.
Yeah, well, the fact that we have to rely on abortion for contraception is kind of lame anyway. I mean, it really shouldn't have to come to that.
Of course, you'd have to be reasonably tolerant, I think, unless he wants to institute a police state, which I think would be a bad propaganda move. You would have to be tolerant, because of course there's going to be nutters out there, there's going to be religious nutters, there's going to be all kinds of groups out there who don't follow the logic of it, who don't go along with it, have 12...
Yeah, well, that's what jails are for, okay? So, fuck the nutters, alright? Fuck them. You pass laws, you have a democracy, a fair fight over the law, let everybody have their fucking speak, let everybody plead for their mercy, and let them say, please, 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 don't oppress us, we're not allowing us to have 12 kids. And if they can't make a persuasive argument, they lose, that's it, they obey the fucking law, and if they don't, then yeah, we'll wacko them in Waco, or we'll do whatever the fuck it goddamn takes. But I wouldn't even be that patient, alright? I would have stood outside with a torch the first day and said, come on, fuckers. Obey the law or get out of the fucking country. Get out of it walking or you can get out of it as smoke. But you're getting out, assholes. I mean, fuck the nutters.
Kids. Bring their kids up to have 12 kids. Yeah, there'd be things like that. And there would have to be a period of... It would be a bit like Westboro Baptist Church, I think. Westboro Baptist Church holds views that were completely common a couple of hundred years ago. Probably less than that. But now they're just nutters. And I think it would be the same with people who held onto the sacrament of natural reproduction and childbirth. Yeah, there'd be quite a few of them to start with, but give it a few years. It certainly wouldn't be hundreds of years, I don't think. Just give it a few years and the right kinds of public relations exercises.
Yeah, and apparently by your philosophy, give them a couple hundred years and they'll be running the show. Right? That's the way it works. The minorities become the majorities, and the minorities become the minorities, and the majorities become the majorities, and whatever.
And these people will be seen as insane. I think that's pretty much it. Actually, the other thing with distraction, this is a kind of science fiction imagining, so don't take it too seriously. What I'm imagining with this voucher is just to randomise the process a bit, because of course we do have all our individual genome, and we do maybe have this kind of psychological investment in our identity, which perhaps is worthy of just consideration in terms of winning over hearts and minds. But maybe there's a way of generalising that out. So these vouchers are not for individuals, they're for groups, small groups. So each voucher will be a bit like a Soggy Biscuit. I don't know if you know about Soggy Biscuit.
Yeah, well, we're not going on there. Whatever. Well, look, it would already be groups in the sense that, like I said, the first priority would probably be family. I mean, like I said, if somebody's going to be asking for my voucher, if it's my sister, I'm probably going to let her have it. It's just my fucking sister. So, I mean, we're already going to groupify to some extent. And if we make a voucher, if we give it some sort of personal integrity, then maybe you're going to want to not have your personal name on the reproduction of some asshole. You're not going to want to create assholes or rich people or some other kind of people. So maybe it won't turn into just something people put up for sale. But even if they did, whatever. I'm not afraid of that. The end result is going to be achieved. I don't think any huge harm is going to take place. I think it's quite reasonable to tell people they can replace themselves. 2 kids, come on. What do you need more than that for, you dumbasses? And if you want more, you can adopt all the fuck you want. So whatever. This is a solvable problem. Everybody's making it more complicated than it has to be. Fine. It'll never get solved. Great. Okay. That's where we are. Fuck solutions. What's the fucking point of talking about it? Buy a gun. Oh, anyway.